It's more Royce and more Josh, and it's our year-end review. Goodbye 2020, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. Here's your Arbitrage Trade State of the Bands weekend. It's New Year's Eve here in the Memphis studio and all through the house. Well, everyone is wishing 2020 a swift goodbye. As we put this year in our collective rear views, we are highlighting events from this year with a special longer version of State with 2 times the Royce, 2 times the Josh, and grabbing our favorite bubbly beverages. We're wishing 2020 a swift adieu and don't let the door hit you. Australian fires, COVID, murder hornets. If anything, 2020 is a year we should be glad to close out. Let's recap some of the top stories. Murder hornets in March show up in the U.S. with queens that can grow up to 2 inches long. Asian giant hornets can use mandibles shaped like spiked sharp fins to wipe out a honeybee hive in a matter of hours, decapitating the bees and flying away with the thoraxes to feed their young. For larger targets, the hornet's potent venom and stinger, long enough to puncture a beekeeping suit, make for an excruciating combination that victims have likened to hot metal driving into their skin. In Japan, the hornets kill up to 50 people a year. Now, for the first time, they arrived in the United States. From impeached to acquitted to incumbent, this has been a rocky year, at least for President Trump. All 50 states and the District of Columbia have now certified their presidential results as the electoral college process moved forward with the meeting of electors. West Virginia became the final state to certify its presidential election results, formally declaring that President Donald Trump is entitled to the state's 5 electoral votes. President-elect Joe Biden won 306 electoral votes, and Trump won 232. It takes 270 electoral votes of the 538 available to become president. And for the first time in history, an incumbent president won't concede the race. A lot of mystery surrounds as the year winds down and Biden is set to take office. We'll cover COVID in depth later, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention it. On January 9th, the World Health Organization first announced news about the deadly coronavirus that had emerged in Wuhan, China. On January 21st, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed the United States' first case. A Washington State resident became the first person with a confirmed case of the novel coronavirus, having returned from Wuhan on January 15th. In a matter of months, the virus proceeded to spread across the globe. In March, many stay-at-home orders went into place. Businesses shut down to in-person customers and diners. Schools started shutting down or moving to online spaces, and self-quarantine was recommended, all to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Things were handled differently in each state, but for many, this is when the world truly began to feel surreal. Face coverings weren't mandated right away, but a lot of us went out and bought or made masks to keep yourselves safe while performing essential tasks like grocery shopping. But now we have a vaccine, and it is slowly making its way out to the world. More after this on Arbitrage Trade State of the Bands weekend. Stick around.
If getting the most out of your investment is important to you, then beware of cheap entertainment when planning your next party. Omega Sound and Entertainment is a Hall of Fame mobile DJ company that travels the country, specializing in once-in-a-lifetime events from weddings and private parties to corporate events and more. For your once-in-a-lifetime event, invest wisely. Invest where the search for premier entertainment ends. Omega Sound and Entertainment. Online at OmegaSoundDJs.com or Omega Sound DJs on Instagram.
Powers Not Included, the comic book podcast. A podcast about comics, games, toys, and everything geek. They talk about Deadpool, Deathstroke, Deathlock, The Night of the Living Dead, and The Walking Dead. Why the fixation on dead stuff? Find out when you subscribe to Powers Not Included on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podbean.
In this issue of State of the Bands, I think we're in a pickle, Royce. That's a nice piece of glass. Baby Shark, what did they do to you? Baby Shark, what did they do to you? And extra, this paper is extra. All this and more on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands, available at arbitragetrade.com. Also available at arbitragetrade.com is our founder and CEO, Mr. Royce Wells. Royce, how you doing?
I'm doing quite well.
See, you made me do Baby Shark, and that was something in my contract I said I would not do.
No, those were not the exact lyrics. That way we did not infringe upon anybody. So, yeah, what did they do to Baby Shark?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Papa Shark. What did they... No, I'm sorry. So, have you ever heard of a Maria cable?
How do you solve a problem like Maria?
Well, did you know that's responsible for most of the internet between the United States and Europe?
Wow, that is cool, actually.
It's about 6,000 kilometers long. And basically it travels and transfers data at a whopping speed of about 160 terabytes per second.
Need that at the house for some Netflix.
Yeah, you can watch it 16 million shows at the same time and not even get throttled.
That sounds cool.
I know, right? Right? Well, the problem is sharks also want to watch Netflix. Well, no, not really. They like the magnetic field that cable puts off. So the people that provide internet for us and make sure that we maintain communication all the way across the pond, as they like to say, typically have to safeguard that Maria cable because sharks just like to chomp down into it. Literally, bite down, eat it. And it's quite untasty, but they think it is.
Well, they're just trying to get Shark Week. I mean, come on, isn't everybody?
Well, I think we did miss it this year, so
we did.
It's a shame. But back to Maria. They cover it with like Kevlar, basically to make sure that the shark's teeth and stuff won't pierce it, and that we can stay, up and online. Because I know, like me personally, I've lost internet at least 3 times this last month for various reasons.
Darn you, internet service provider that we won't say.
Right? They installed someone next door and I lost mine for 3 days.
What the heck, man?
I don't know.
Could have been a shark.
I was, definitely chasing people, trying to get it back on.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good, I believe.
So, sharks. Also, not the first time that we've had problems with sharks, apparently. Looks like we had some issues with something called a cookie cutter shark back in the 1970s. That actually, it's known for feeding by punching out a little cookie cutter type hole in its prey. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Vampire.
Apparently, they would take out the sonar domes of American submarines that caused the sound transmitting oil to leak and blinded them. It happened enough times that they covered them in fiberglass, and telecommunications equipment, oceanographic research equipment have all suffered from this cookie cutter shark. Pretty cool.
Yep. Like I said, that's a nice piece of glass.
More after this on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands Weekend Year in Recap.
You put your keys between your knuckles. You walk in well-lit areas. Stay clear of parked vans. Someone approaches you and you cross to the other side of the street. Your cell phone is ready, the numbers for help saved on speed dial. You lock the door behind you, once, twice, maybe 3 times. Now you feel safe, secure. You think you've made the right choices to protect yourself. Think again. Because if you're not making healthy choices, you could be one of the nearly 2 out of 3 women killed by cancer, diabetes, heart disease, or stroke. So eat right, get active, don't smoke, see your doctor, and live. Learn to protect yourself from yourself at 1-866-399-6789 or visit us at everydaychoices.org. A message from the American Cancer Society, American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association, and the Ad Council.
You know, Royce, back when we were growing up as kids, we had this guy called Captain Planet. Remember him?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you did because you named the pollution down to 0.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, but I'm not doing the thing.
What's the thing?
I'm not doing the thing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not letting our powers combine.
You're not? You sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
Do you know how many people it takes to make the State of the Bands each month?
5.
Yes, it takes exactly 5 people to make the State of the Bands.
Fine.
And you know, I believe you are heart. You are all heart, Josh. You are all heart. We could not do this without you.
With our powers combined, fine.
Yes.
Okay, but the article, man, it's not really about Captain Planet. Come on.
Well, it's about waxworms, actually.
Say again?
Waxworms.
That's not Captain Planet.
We could talk about Captain Planet's waxworm if you really like to.
Not really. Continue,
Okay.
please.
Well, waxworms. They eat wax. They eat plastic. The problem that we have with waste currently and pollution is that we have a lot of non-biodegradable plastics. Well, scientists in 2017 realized that if they let some waxworms loose on these non-biodegradable plastics, they eat it, and their byproduct, their waste material, becomes biodegradable, which means, hey, no more waste, which means we could probably get rid of all of the waste that's in the ocean now and basically take that pollution down to 0. There's only one problem. Bees, right? Yeah. Remember we were talking about wax, beeswax, right?
I see what you said there. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So beeswax, bees are responsible for all of our fruits, the cross-pollination of flowers, and basically almost a lot of our ecosystem. If not watched and basically if recklessly released, they could destroy literally our food as we know it, at least our vegetables. All the vegans will suffer. The meat eaters might suffer too eventually.
Ooh, wow, I didn't think about that. So what you're saying is that the worms, the wax worms, could eat the beeswax and thus killing the bees off, which would stop pollination of plants, right?
That is correct.
See, that's cool
And
the way you
end
said that.
life as we know it. But no more pollution.
Yeah, but end life.
For the vegans. Okay, fine, for all of us.
Cows eat grass.
So, are we killing the grass? Do we need grass?
Pigs eat grass.
But does grass get pollinated? Ask yourself that.
Does it?
I don't know. We can.
I forget.
We'll probably have to ask around.
I'm sorry, Mr. Stewart, my 8th grade earth science teacher. I knew this at one point. Sorry about that, man.
It is literally all your fault.
I feel bad. Moving right along.
Well, did you know about the trees?
You know, I did know a little bit about the trees, and there is a word that I totally forgot about this.
It's a Japanese word, that word?
Yeah, that Japanese word that is a tree basically growing inside of a tree. It is called...
It's like a Pokemon.
Daisuge?
Daisuge, yeah.
Daisuge. There we go.
Yes, and basically they grow trees on top of trees, and they top them, and basically it forces the trees to grow straight up, and basically allows us to grow trees really, really quickly because they never have to come up from roots. They're coming literally from a base, and so every year you can harvest them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We're going to get back to our roots in just a moment. It's Arbitrage Trade's State of the Band's year-end special. We're recapping some of the best news stories of the year, so stick around for that. We're doing business, tech, and just straight-up news. Stick around. It's going to be fun. Research, fundamental experience, technical analysis, statistical probability. It's what sets us apart, and it's what will get you to stop watching and start living. Every day we track over 8,700 stocks to give you a list for over 131 disciplines and suggested entry and exit prices for each, not to mention how much we expect it to move on a daily basis. Stop watching and start living. Get started today at arbitragetrade.com. From Brexit to COVID to Christmas of a different kind, business was certainly not business as usual. Let's take a look at 2020 taking care of business. The new year could finally bring a fresh start and a commitment to let bygones be bygones for Britain and the European Union. But don't bet on it. The UK has chosen to leave the EU, setting a course away from the continental mainland. But the two sides' histories have been intertwined for 1,000 years for the split to be simple. 11 months after Britain's formal departure from the EU, Brexit becomes a fact of daily life on Friday, once the transition period ends and the UK fully leaves the world's most powerful trading bloc. First came Brexit trade deal, now comes the red tape and the institutional nitty-gritty. 4 days after sealing a free trade agreement with the European Union, the British government warned businesses to get ready for disruptions and bumpy moments when the new rules take effect on Thursday night. Businesses were scrambling Monday to digest the details and implications of the 1,240-page deal sealed by the EU and UK on Christmas Eve. COVID. By March 23rd, Apple had lost $435 billion in market value in about 5 weeks, and many of its retail outlets were shut down as the virus pandemic walloped the global economy and stock markets. Meanwhile, a report issued by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that 2% of small businesses surveyed had shut down permanently in March. On December 30th, Apple's stock market value totaled $2.29 trillion, up 133% since March 23rd. Meanwhile, Congress has approved nearly $300 billion in additional relief for small businesses, money that many hard-hit owners only hope can help them survive until the pandemic finally eases. The success of Apple and other big technology companies and the struggles of the smaller of businesses is just one example of how the pandemic created winners and losers in the business world in 2020. Wall Street recovered after March. Main Street still struggling. Santa under glass. Despite the pandemic and the fact that Santa's age and weight put him at high risk for severe illness from the coronavirus, mall owners went ahead with plans to bring him back in 2020. But they did all they could to keep the jolly old man safe, including banning kids from sitting on his knee, no matter if they've been naughty or nice. Kids instead told Santa what they wanted from 6 feet away and sometimes from behind a sheet of plexiglass. Santa and his visitors wore a face mask even while posing for photos. And some malls put faux gift boxes and other decorations in front of St. Nick to block kids from charging around him. Other safety measures included online reservations to cut down on lines, and workers wiping down holiday decorated sets, and hand sanitizer aplenty. More after this on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands Weekend Year in Review 2020. Get on out of here.
Research, fundamental experience, technical analysis, statistical probability. It's what sets us apart and what will get you to stop watching and start living. Get started today at arbitragetrade.com.
It's Thursday night and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I've been Googling, Royce, and you've got some splaining to do.
Did you Google what?
I can't say.
I can search your Google search history if I have to.
Let's not say we did.
Okay, we're going to just leave that alone. Maybe you have some splaining to do. Are we talking about Lucille Ball here? Did you know that she, like, had her baby the same day that, like, it aired? And it was, like, the most watched episode in the history of the show. It was actually more watched than the presidential results.
You're talking about I Love Lucy.
Yes, I am.
And Desi Arnaz Jr.
Aha, yes.
Aha. Did you know that her studio, Desilu Studios, was the producer of Star Trek?
Really?
There you go. Some of the same sets that they used on Star Trek for the old world stuff. For example, City on the Edge of Forever, which is an amazing episode starring Joan Collins. You'll see Floyd's Barbershop in that.
Really?
Because Desilu also produced The Andy Griffith Show.
Wow. That sounds really cool. I really wish I lived back then. Google. Let's get back to Google and your search history. Actually, let's just talk about Google in general. Okay. I heard they got in trouble for doing antitrust things.
Well, here's the thing, all right? So Google is the big search engine, right? I mean, it honestly is like Kleenex, Kleenex is something I have on my desk right here. You don't call this a facial tissue, do you?
Nope.
You call it a Kleenex.
That's proper branding.
You call it a Kleenex because, well, this actually is Kleenex, but I mean, any facial tissue you basically call Kleenex, right?
Yep.
What do you do when you search something on the web?
I bang it.
Oh, you're like the 1 in 10.
No, I
that
Google
doesn't
it.
Google it.
I definitely Google it.
At least it's not the back rub.
Oh, I heard that was their original name.
That's their original name. So you don't back rub something. Thank God for that.
Well, some people like it. Some people may not. Teach their own.
I do like back rubs, just not from you, Royce.
I mean, like Netflix and chill, back rub and chill. I think Google should change their name back to back rub.
I don't think so. Don't you have something else on that page?
Yeah, speaking about Netflix, right? They also got in trouble for some of the content that they released. I think it was a show called Cuties. And I heard that basically they were being sued for underage content that was showing children or preteen or early teen girls in predicaments that they really shouldn't be in. And they got pulled, they got sued, and I'm not sure if they're going to lose the lawsuit, but they definitely have to filter what they're allowing into their stream.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a responsibility there. They need to have.
Yeah.
A fiduciary response. No, that's not necessarily the right term there.
No, they have to do better due diligence.
There you go. You go. So yeah, I mean, Netflix is getting sued for Cuties, which was if I remember correctly, it was a comedy drama movie about preteen girls getting into situations that don't really need to be on television.
Probably, I haven't seen it, but
I haven't either.
I'm that's what I'm assuming. Also, back to like big companies doing big things, right? Google also, they bought 200 other companies because what do you do? It's December 31st. I'm going to go buy 200 companies today. We're good.
Yeah, what does Alphabet do with all that money? They buy companies.
They buy companies, and they're very successful in their endeavors to do so. Basically, you buy the smart things and you implement them and you make them work together. But if you get too big, antitrust steps in and says, no, you can't do that. Like Google owns Android, right?
Yes,
or Alphabet owns Android.
Alphabet owns Android and might as well be Google. I mean,
yeah, but then Google finds their way to be the primary search engine on Apple phones. You're kind of cornering both sides of the market.
I just work here, Royce. I like my Apple phone.
Do you got the new one?
No, Royce, I work here.
Me too.
The Chinese invented paper from hemp in 100 BC. They later began to use bark, bamboo, and other plant fibers to create paper. Creating arbitrage trade in 2014, Mr. Royce Wells uses computers, I guess.
Not just computers.
You use paper?
Yeah, paper's a big part of it.
Okay, paper.
We like paper. Paper keeps us all employed.
That's true. That is true.
Hey, we like green paper. Yes?
And we like other kinds of paper. Why don't you tell us about it?
Let's talk about paper, folks. All right. So, weird science moment, right? Engineers at the University of Purdue determined a way to make paper interactive, right? You've seen Back to the Future, and you've seen, like, hey, you sign up for a package, you click on the paper, and there's technically nothing there, and it does what it's supposed to do, right?
Yes.
Well, they've actually made that science fiction science fact. They coat it with, like, a neon green omniphobic solution, which means it just pretty much can repel almost anything.
That's what omniphobic means. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I'm learning.
There
right?
you go, learning on the show.
That's right. Once it's dry, thankfully it dries clear, right? Engineers can literally print circuits on top of the paper and not smear the ink, and you can't see them.
That's pretty cool if you think about it.
Yes. So basically you can put keyboards, you can put screens, you can put displays, you can put pretty much anything on what seems to be a regular old sheet of paper, and because it's so thin, it generates its own electricity from the force of friction just from moving it around. And basically, it doesn't need any batteries. It doesn't have to be charged. It doesn't have to connect to anything. And do you know what you can do with that?
Many, many things, I'm sure.
So think about Harry Potter, right? It's like those moving pictures.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Marauders map.
The Marauders map. Mischief
I
Madness.
solemnly swear I am up to no good.
I don't buy that for even a second.
But I am up to no good, Royce. You know this.
I do. But, like, depending on which industry adopts this technology first, I'm like, meat packaging, sell-by dates can change dynamically, right? If they want to change the price.
Wait. That's not necessarily a good thing.
But, hey, you just put it on there, and then you go to the computer and say, okay, put the sell-by date. You don't have to get out there with a sales gun and basically put them on there and buy, sell by.
Yeah, but meat goes bad, so why would you change the sell-by date?
Not change, put the initial, right?
I get it.
So basically, and then once you want to mark it down, guess what? All meat's on sale. Done.
So let's think about this for a minute. If you put a sensor in the pack that detects that the meat is going bad,
or the temperature,
you
or
could actually
the age.
put a dynamic. You could put a dynamic sell-by date.
Yep.
Ooh, I see this.
Yeah.
We really need to patent that real quick.
I think we're a little late for that.
Oh, darn it.
But
Well,
hey, we can talk about it.
If you think about it, though, okay, let's think about this dynamically, right? You could have one sheet of paper, have an entire book on that sheet of paper. If you have one sheet of paper for, like, I don't know, let's try a sheet music. How about that?
Yeah.
Sheet music, you could carry your guitar and one sheet of paper and have 15,000 songs on it. All of a sudden, you're a Memphis band.
Exactly.
More after this on Arbitrage Trade State of the Band's Weekend.
Help.
Ayuda.
帮助. Help.
In the wake of a disaster, there are many people from all backgrounds and all walks of life who need help. Help is available through FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We're here to provide help to all those who need it.
Help.
帮助.
帮助. Help.
If you or someone you know has been affected by a disaster, call us at 800-621-FEMA. If your home or property has been damaged or destroyed, you've lost your job or income, or face other emergency needs, please call the Federal Emergency Management Agency at 800-621-FEMA. FEMA. Help is here.
A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You know, Royce, failure is an option around here. I think we failed to get last State of the Bands out. Well, my State of the Bands, my podcast. And we also fail a little bit when it comes to making this thing. We take out a lot of ums and ahs, and failure is definitely an option for us, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. But all I can say to failure is, hello, nurse.
Okay. We go from failure to Animaniacs.
Hey, I didn't say Animaniacs. I just said, hello, nurse.
Okie dokie, Royce.
Well, that phrase actually calls back to something that used to be called Hello Girls. Hello Girls were phone operators back in the 1800s, right? And why don't we have, nice operators on the phone now to basically take messages and direct our calls and connect us where we need to go?
I know this one. It was because of pettiness.
Yes, and we have a King Petty. Apparently...
Who's not Tom?
Who is not Tom? That is terrible. So, Almond Stroger is apparently King Petty. He suspected that the operators, or the Hello Girls, were directing all of his clients to his competitor. So instead of, playing fair and getting even, he's like, you know what? I'm going to automate this. That's right. Automation in the 1800s.
Now, keep in mind, this guy is a funeral director, right?
Yes.
Yeah, funeral director who invents an automated telephone exchange.
Yes, the very first one. He literally killed an entire industry just because he didn't want his competitors to bury their loved ones with someone else.
Now, that's determination.
Hey, you got to do something, right? Right? So, and speaking of failure, right? We're still talking about failure. WD-40. Do you know why it's 40?
Because there were 39 more.
Yeah, originally it was for water displacement. That's what the WD stands for.
Water displacement formula 40.
So he was trying to displace water basically on metal, right? So basically keep it off so that way if it was rusty, the oxidation and stuff that would happen, make it so it's like it was smooth and never happened, right? So he tried and he happened upon the 40th formula and ta-da, things were great. I just want to know, right?
Yeah.
All the way back then, like I think WD-40 was built or created like I think post-Civil War, right?
I believe that's right, yeah.
Right, so random guy just like, you know what? Now that the war is over, I'm going to make my doors open quietly.
I honestly don't think that was the original purpose of that, but okay.
No, probably not.
Moving right along.
All right. George Washington Carver, right?
Right.
Over 300 uses for a peanut.
Man, that guy was nuts.
More than just a little.
I stole that for Royce.
That guy.
That was a Royce original, just to let y'all know.
It was. But, so 300 different things for a peanut. How do you come up with like, you know what? This isn't a potato. You can't mash them, cook them, put them in a stew. It's a peanut. I can like think of maybe 3 to 4 uses maybe off the top of my head, but 300.
But you can cook them, mash them, and put them in a stew.
I guess, yeah, you can.
You could. I mean, Come on, Royce. Think about that one. You know, what? We're talking Thai cuisine.
This is true.
We're talking boiled peanuts, man. It's a southern thing. Boiled peanuts are awesome.
Yep, that's my jam.
No, that's peanuts.
Yeah, like I said, that's my jam.
No, that's a sandwich. Peanut butter and... Never mind. More after this on Arbitrage Trades State of the Bands Weekend Year-End Review. Stick around because we got a lot more coming, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, that now in a nutshell.
Oh, no. Josh here again, just with a small thank you for supporting State of the Bands, the podcast. Over 20,000 views and going. Thank you so much. 2021 is going to be a great year. Stick around with us, okay? COVID again, the not-so-friendly skies, and e-commerce for the win in 2020. This is your year-end review for tech on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands weekend. COVID brought a few tech winners to the forefront, even in a year heralding splashy new consoles from Xbox and PlayStation. The Nintendo Switch was the console that could. Launched in 2017, the Switch became a fast seller. That was helped by the launch of the handheld Switch Lite in September 2019. In March, it became hard to find a Switch as people searched for ways to be entertained inside their homes. Boosting its popularity was the release of the island simulation game Animal Crossing New Horizons, which debuted in March 20 and now has sold a cumulative 26 million units globally, according to Nintendo. According to the NPD Group, during the first 11 months of 2020, Nintendo Switch sold 6.92 million units in the US, and it has been the best-selling console in units sold for 24 consecutive months. All video conferencing software from Microsoft Teams to WebEx thrived during the abrupt shift of tens of millions of people to remote working and schooling during the pandemic, but only one became a verb. Zoom video conferencing was a relatively unheralded company before the pandemic hit, but its ease of use led to wide adaptation during the pandemic. There were some growing pains, including lax security, that led to Zoom bombing breaches early on. The company revamped its security and remains one of the most popular platforms to host remote meetings and classes. The beleaguered Boeing 737 MAX was in the news in 2020, being grounded due to 2 fatal crashes and brought back at the end with its first flight with paying passengers from Miami to New York on Tuesday. Its first flight commercially in U.S. skies since it was grounded. American Flight 718 carried 87 passengers on the 172-seat plane, and the return flight from LaGuardia Airport to Miami International Airport held 150 passengers, according to an airline spokeswoman. Last month, the Federal Aviation Administration approved changes that Boeing made to an automated flight control system implicated in crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia that killed 346 people. In both crashes, the system pushed the nose down repeatedly based on faulty sensor readings, and pilots were unable to regain control. The FAA cleared the way for U.S. airlines to resume using the plane if certain changes are made and pilots are provided with additional training, including flight time in a flight simulator. E-commerce enjoyed quite a boost in 2020. The biggest of the bunch, Amazon, is one of the few companies that has thrived during the break. People have turned to it to order groceries, supplies, or items online, helping the company bring in record revenue and profits between April and June. That came even though it had to spend $4 billion on cleaning supplies and to pay workers overtime and bonuses. But it's not just Amazon. The pandemic is accelerating the move to online shopping, a trend experts expect to stay even after vaccines allow the world to resume normal lives. And thanks to it, in part to shoppers consciously supporting small businesses, Adobe Analytics says online retailers' sales jumped 346% during the pandemic. More after this on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands weekend. Stick around.
Invest in stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptocurrencies, all commission-free right from your phone or desktop. Access professional research reports, trade on margin, and make bigger instant deposits with Robinhood Gold, all starting at $5 a month. It only takes a few minutes to take control of your financial future. Sign up now to start investing with Robinhood at arbitragetrade.com/Robinhood.
Hey, it's Josh. You know we talk about some of the tools we have here at Arbitrage Trade, and one of the most essential tools we use is TradingView. TradingView is fast becoming one of the most popular charting tools in the industry. With its easy-to-use drawing tools, indicators, and social network integration, traders have a complete set of tools to perform technical analysis and share ideas. We use TradingView's indicators as part of the arbitrage system, and you can too at arbitragetrade.com/TradingView.
It's the proverbial Boston legal moment for us, Royce. We're sitting around the terrace and drinking a scotch and sharing well, we're not sharing a cigar.
Nope, you can have your own cigar, sir.
I got my own cigar. He's got his own cigar. His name is Royce Wells, and here he is right now. Royce, I think I'm going to go on strike.
You can join over 200 million people who participated in a strike literally for one day.
That's a lot of people. And
yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, in India, literally 75% of the U.S. population equivalently went on strike. That's roughly 3% of the world's population decided that, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. They struck because there were recent policies that were passed by the Prime Minister of India, who basically was kind of being a little bit of a jerk. Basically, he was trying to prevent people from having citizenship, literally taking citizenship from people that were not aligned with his political group. Basically, it was a power move. And the worst part is that he had already removed more than 2 million people's citizenship, and most of those people were Muslim, right?
That's not cool.
Yeah, that really, really stinks. And the Indian government is also currently building a network of detention centers, is what we'll call them, similar to what ICE is in the U.S., to house the newly criminalized population, right?
Detention centers, you're using your quotes over here. I see those air quotes going on. You're basically talking about concentration camps, right?
Pretty much. And the worst part, if this wasn't bad enough, he's literally having the people that no longer have their citizenship build them and then housing them there.
That's not cool at all.
Yeah, he has not been a cool prime minister at all. He's literally threatening employees that if they try to strike for whatever reason, there will be consequences, suggesting that they basically will be seen nationwide, that if they do strike, people are saying that it's threatening his legitimacy as the prime minister. So he's trying to make sure he quells that before it becomes a problem. He's like, I'm the prime minister. This is my party. If you're not with my party, then it's like join or die. And I know you've heard of that before.
Oh, absolutely.
It's quite tense over in India right now.
Well, it sounds like they're in a pickle, Royce.
Yeah. Speaking of pickles.
Speaking of pickles.
Have you heard what John McAfee is doing right now?
Man, John McAfee is a guy that's been in news, and he's like ridiculous.
Yep, that's the guy who actually like McAfee Antivirus.
Yeah,
same guy. He started that company and then left, and then he started a few more like Tribal Voice, Future Tense Central, and Quorum EX, to name a few. Right, and he said that. And this was back in 2017, just to put some reference on this, right? But before Bitcoin, literally over 1,000, 1,600, whatever, right?
Right.
That it would be literally over $500,000 per coin.
Wait. Right now it's at 26.
It's at $26,000 to $28,000 per coin.
Okay.
But he wagered that he would literally on air chop off a little bit of his anatomy that he uses to get rid of stuff reproduce if it wasn't $500,000 by December 31st of 2020.
You're talking about his...
Yep, that. We're not talking about
thing.
That. Yep.
The thing that he uses.
Yep, no more pickles for him.
Sounds
like he's going to have to pony up or get out.
Yeah, and on that note, no more pickles for me. I don't know about you, Royce, but thanks for joining us on this year-end special of the State of the Bands weekend. How can we end on that note?
Hey,
we have to.
It's definitely left us in a pickle.
See you next year.
See you next year, Josh.
Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, is a privately held market research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the content of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, please visit arbitragetrade.com.